Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Diane and I have 3 quick projects for you. One is, they're all based on radial symmetry, which is working on a design that starts in the center of a circle and grows outward. So what do you think of that when I say that? What do you think of? I think of being in the garden and seeing a flower that has a center point and beautiful things in the middle, and then from that center point, many blossoms are equal on all sides, whether they have 5 blossoms or 4 blossoms or 16 blossoms, petals. They start in the middle and the petals go evenly out from the center. So the first project was just making sort of a sand mandala, which is a design, but I'm doing it in a container with salt. And as you can see, I started in the middle and worked out. So what are the materials? Here it is. Here's the same thing I used in that picture. I found a container that was for takeout food. I put some salt in it, and instead of having a finished drawing where I could hang it up on my refrigerator or something, I just play and I get ideas, and it's a great way to start thinking where you're not using any paper or anything, and you erase it just by shaking a little bit, and then you can go back into it and try drawing with either your finger or a pencil. And again, it's not like making a line on a paper, which is very stable. This moves a little bit because the salt crystals move. So again, it's just a fun thing to try and see how many designs you can make. And some people even dye the salt a different color with food coloring. You can do that too. But it's a traditional thing to do with sand and in Tibet, but we can do it at home with a container. Notice that my container is dark and my salt is light. That's really the only thing to maintain, is that you have a difference between the light. If you do it on a white plate, you won't see it as much, right? Because you won't see the dark to the light. All right, so that's my salt mandala. The next project I had is a little more complicated in that it was using, here's my examples, using paper and folding it and creating a design in a section of it, and then trying to print that design by pressing it onto the other parts, and then finally coloring in. So let me go through the steps. So I start out with a piece of white paper is fine, probably the best, right? I told you to get something circular, and I was just using my masking tape roll, but if you have a bracelet, that's okay. Or if you have a, let's see, a container or something, this is a coaster, I could draw around the coaster by putting it down and drawing around it. Or even if you have a printed circle that came out already, you could do that on there too if you already have a circle. But let me start with my, let's see, can you see that? Okay, so I'm laying my, I'm gonna just adjust this a little bit so you guys can see better. All right, so I'm laying my measuring down in the center, my measuring masking tape, and again, this is so I can cut it out evenly. All right, so that's if I do it in the center. What if I wanted to make more than one? I would do it like so. I would do it trying to fit it. Sort of like when you cut cookies out and you want more than one cookie, you start at one end and you can fit more in. Let's see if I can fit 3 into this paper, because that's what I ended up doing. I did 3 and go around it. Yeah, easy 3. Okay. So let's see. I pressed pretty hard so you could see it. 3 beautiful circles. If you have a compass, if you've ever used a compass, which has a pencil on one side and a sharp end on the other, you can put the sharp end in the center and twirl it around and get a beautiful, beautiful circle as well. But not everybody has that. All right, I'm going to use my funny old-fashioned scissors. I don't know if you've ever seen old-fashioned scissors. Let's see. They're really sort of interesting shapes, right? Okay, I'm going to cut out one of my circles. And I'm going to save the others to later, because I'm only going to do one for you since I've already showed you some of the coloring in. Doing mandala, as I mentioned in the instructions, is very calming and soothing work. So you want to do it if you're a little bit stressed out. This is a really good thing. And if you know somebody in your family maybe who wants to try it, you might see that they become calmer when they do coloring and careful work like this. So here's my circle. The first step is folding. And you guys have folded with me. You know, you just roll it over and press down. And what I want you to do is press with your fingernail. If you want to use a pencil, you can do that, but my fingernail is right there, so that's easy. So I did one, right? And I'm going to do it one more time the opposite way. So I'm going to have 4 sections. And you've done this in geometry. You've done, you know, the whole is cut into 4, so now my 4 things. Now, I could do it another time and make 8 sections, but I think for this, for our first one, let's do it just with 4 sections. And what I said is, using radial symmetry, we're going to start in the center of this sort of a triangular shape. It's like a pizza, and you've taken one, if you cut a pizza in just 4 sections, you get this really big piece of pizza. But I'm going to start in the middle and work my way out to do a really, really original design that maybe I've seen it before, but maybe not. All right, let me show you what I've got so far. So I'm starting in the middle, and I'm doing the same thing. So there was my first little seed center, and then I did sort of petals, and then I did some circles, and then I'm doing some triangles. Now I'm going to do some bigger shapes just because it's fun. Maybe, let's see, a bigger shape. Okay, and then, let's see. Every time I do this, I do it differently. Okay. All right. Now I want to really go over this with my pencil. I want to make it nice and dark. Once I like it, go ahead and make it nice and dark. Go over it more than once. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so that's what I've got. I made it really dark. Now the idea is that I want to have it on this side and this side and this side as well. So the only way I know how to do that is by offsetting it. And to offset it, I'm going to take that corner, I'm going to take this section and fold it over to this section. And then I'm going to take something and rub it and see if it will jump over to the other side too. Really rub off. And I had this because I was talking about circles. It is a wooden bracelet. Let's see if that works. If you have a spoon would be great. It's about rubbing, right? I'm going to use this, see how it works. I'm going to take a peek to see if it's coming off. Oh, pretty light. Let me see. Wait. Let me see if this works. No, that's too soft. I have a funny tool here. Again, a spoon is probably the right thing that you might have at home. And I just don't happen to have one up in my studio right this second. But what I'm doing is I'm just rubbing down, and I'm hoping it jumps over lightly to the other side. So let's see. I can go right over where I see my drawing, because the light paper is light enough that you can see it. Oh my gosh. So it did work. Can you see that? It lightly jumped over to this side, but it's exactly the same. So now what I can do is I can go over that outline that is there. I might want to look back and see, how did I draw that? But if you see it there, you can go over it and make it nice and dark again, right? So it's equal, and it looks like the other side. And if a part didn't come out, you could either close it back up and try rubbing just that area. Right? Sometimes I've made mistakes, and I think in the instructions I gave you, I did a little mistake in it, but it's up to you to find it. Let's see. Okay. All right, so I pressed it on there and I drew it over again. I'm going to make sure I go everything twice. Now the softer your pencil is, the more it will transfer over, right? Because the soft pencil will rub off more easily. So if you have some kind of drawing pencil or tool, a charcoal pencil or a really soft pencil that's kind of smudgy, it'll probably come off. So, okay, look at that. Now I've got 2, right? I wonder if I go over this whole thing. Ah, I broke my pencil. That's all right. All right. Maybe a colored pencil would come off too. Let me see it. This is a purple colored pencil. I'm going to see how that comes off, if it comes over better. Because I'm going to fold it another time. And I'm going to fold it. Now that I got 1/4, 1/4, I could do the 3rd quarter. But let's have an experiment and let's try to fold it all the way over and do our rubbing on the half and see how it comes off. I'm going to start with my bracelet. Sometimes the experimenting I do with you really teaches me a lot. What else do I have? I have, let's see, I have a pill bottle. I don't like that. And it has pills in it. That's no good. Let's see. Oh, here's a tool. This is usually used for screwing in things. Let me see if that works. I'm going to peek. Seems to be working. And you know what? My purple pencil seems to be coming off more easily. I'm going to try that. It's beginning to come. It hasn't all the way come, so I'm going to do it a little bit more, especially on the areas where it wasn't transferring. Now you have to be, what I'm doing also is I'm rubbing it from the inside out because I don't want to tear the paper. So that's a good. So one time I even used like a nickel, the side of a nickel, but I think the spoon is what most people do this with. So it's come out lightly. As you can see some of the purples come out. So maybe my purple pencil was even better than I thought. I'm going to, though, work with my regular pencil now that they're broke. I'm just going to do that. All right, go over my areas. So what's kind of interesting is I didn't really have to measure, right? I just made one design, and then I'm letting the folding do the transfer and the measurement. And sometimes I have to look back to fix something to get it closer to correct. Seems like the center part never wants to transfer for me today. Okay. All right. So as you're working, you might find, all right, so that's what I've got. So each corner is a mirror image of the other side, right? So it's symmetrical from this side to this side, or this side to that side, because I transferred that drawing without really measuring. All right, so the next step is the coloring in part. So I won't go through all that, but I'll show you this again. And you can see in order to get my final picture, I started in the center as well, and I went around and I did all the pinks. Then I went around and I did the other colors I wanted all the way through, and I slowly worked out. I didn't start from the outside in, I worked from the inside out, and I think that's more logical. Again, here's the piece that I haven't even finished darkening in. here's the piece that's darkened in, and I start to draw, and I can even decide, oh, I sort of like that dark in the background, and I can make that dark in the background too. And if you don't have color, you can just do it with the graphite of the pencil too. And this one is sort of finished. I think I might like to go in and maybe mix some colors, but whatever I do on one side, I'm going to do on the other. So that's our color pencil, or pencil mandala. And the final one I did, and I showed you with a picture, was a mandala made with natural objects. And you can see what's missing in this picture. Do you see anything missing? You probably noticed that if it's supposed to be even on all sides, there's a leaf missing here. So even though I didn't measure, I was just doing patterning. If you have one missing, you notice it. And it's a beautiful way to make something unique. So first I had to go out and collect some things that were growing. So I found just weeds and things, and some weeds even have like heart-shaped flowers, and some plants have beautiful little seeds. And then I also took some toothpicks for this, because I thought, well, toothpicks are made of wood, so they come from plants too. So many things we have in our house comes from well, everything comes from the earth, right? So the wood of this toothpick, I'm going to fix it because the leaf came off and a toothpick came off. A couple things came off because I used this glue stick. Probably the better way to do it is to use a glue that is a wet glue. And maybe I could do that on top as I go after I get this down. Let's see. Got that. Where did my leaf? This is the leaf that fell off. And it's missing its tip, but I don't mind that. Okay, now I think I have to find oh, I see what I did. It's amazing how you can see your mistakes by just quietly looking at something, saying, what's missing in this picture, right? I also used, you'll notice, seeds. I had collected these seeds. These are my pumpkin seeds I collected last year, but maybe you have a seed on a plant that you've seen. But these are pine needles from a very dead-looking pine tree branch that I found. And I found some other little tiny leaves. I could do some added leaves there too. So again, it's pretty logical, but you start in the middle, work your way out. And that's how you make radial, symmetrical mandalas or mandalas. I guess you could call them either way, but mandala is the traditional way to call it. And it's a beautiful pattern that's equal on all sides that works its way outward. So enjoy those. And send me some pictures if you can. Send them to your teachers. I'd love to see if you make anything special. Thanks. Bye.